banjo's been an emblem of American culture. It's been a stereotype from its beginning here.
It was an African instrument when it came here. It became an African-American instrument here and met with the fiddle and began being played by European Americans.
This is a rhythmic instrument. The banjo is a rhythmic instrument. This banjo can do things which a guitar can't do. You can get these needle points of tone. Needle points are like a star in the sky. And here's what a banjo does with a melody. You know, there's thousands of stars up there, but you can pick out a constellation among them. So here you're hearing a lot of notes, but somehow there's a melody there too.
The Banjo Project is a musical odyssey through 250 years of American history and culture. Our guides will be modern banjo masters. The Banjo Project explores in depth the monumental contributions of Earl Scruggs, whose syncopated three-finger style defined the bluegrass sound.
Earl Scruggs. He's the guy who really brought back the banjo.
The only comparable person was Monet. To me, it's like Monet invented a style and he fulfilled it beautifully and perfectly. And so did Earl Scruggs.
It's been a black instrument, it's been a white instrument, a laborer's pastime and a woman's diversion, a young person's fad and an old-timer's friend. But often it's been a snubbed instrument, too. Over the years, there may have been more jokes about banjos than any other instrument.
Before the actual music starts, we'll have some banjo playing.
The banjo has always symbolized something other than just music in our culture. It's completely saturated with cultural associations. It's always an icon. It's never just music. Every time you pick up a banjo, it's going to symbolize wild, rural, simple, and even clownish.
A terrible institution called the minstrel show.
Minstrelsy defined American popular music for a long time. It has these huge echoes.
The only comparison that's really logical to make is minstrelsy of the 19th century with rock and roll in the 20th century. What happened in the 1840s and 50s is exactly what's happening between white and black musicians in the 1940s and 50s.
I was not really happy with what banjos represented. Skinning and grinning, watermelon eating, chicken chasing, you know, darkies playing banjos, you know, to the delight of, you know, Mouser and his friends. It's really not something I was in an attitude that I presented to anybody.
The banjo has a huge racial stigma attached to it to this day. It has never gotten over its slave roots. Along with this African image that people would attach to the banjo, there was all the dark down side of it, but there was another side to it where it was very exotic and foreign and boundary breaking and forbidden.
The banjo has shaped most American musical forms: ragtime, blues, and early jazz, old-time folk and the folk revival, and of course country and bluegrass.
From the Ryman Auditorium, the Grand Ole Opry.
I became a convert to bluegrass music from hearing this.
In the 1960s, the banjo resurfaced in mainstream American culture as a stereotype.
My brother and I are watching television in Queens, and I don't know, I'm between 5 and 7 years old, and the Beverly Hillbillies comes on, and it's like... And I'm like transfixed. I've never heard anything like this, and all these neurons are firing in my brain. And it's like mercury notes. Every note is like metal, just perfect and stunning, and that's what made me want to play the banjo.
Perhaps it was the banjo's semi-abandoned status that allowed those who followed Scruggs and Pete Seeger the freedom to reinvent the banjo and the music it plays.
I'm kind of used to being, like we say, raisin in the oatmeal, you know, like the only non-white person at a contra dance, at Celtic jams, at, you know, all of this kind of music that just spoke to me. I was used to just kind of being the odd man out. But then I started finding out that it wasn't a white preserve. Old-time music is the original, for me, it's the original integration, because you had whites and blacks who, in the normal, you know, space of things, didn't really interact all that much. But when it came to the music, it was like they were there. It didn't matter if you were a black banjo player or a white banjo player. It mattered if you were a good banjo player.
The Banjo Project tells the story of America's instrument in a new documentary encompassing the full breadth and richness of the banjo's role in American culture. It's panoramic history with lots of great music. Give me the banjo, wrote Mark Twain in 1865. When you want genuine music, music that will come right home to you like a bad quarter, suffuse your system like strychnine whiskey, ramify your whole constitution like the measles, and break out on your hide like the pin feather pimples on a picked goose. When you want all this, just smash your piano and invoke the glory-beaming banjo.